Few games make audio and visuals take center stage of their video games. Playdead are a few game developers whose crux of the game centers around the visuals and audio in their game experiences. The environments of their worlds are so well crafted with intricate attention to detail. Add to that the extreme care that is put into the sound design. These aspects, combined with their captivating one-of-a-kind atmosphere, make the works of the studio stand out among the crowd of samey-looking games. When I first played my first Playdead game, which is Inside, I couldn't help but be drawn by its mystique, the atmosphere, lighting, visuals, and sound. It was my first time setting my hands upon a game with such a focus on these elements. I like to believe I have always been attentive to sound design in games. It is an aspect that I truly enjoy and appreciate a lot, even though it goes mostly overlooked. After finishing the game, I felt a sense of emptiness, something I rarely feel, and that is because I know that I have experienced something truly special that I won't be able to re-experience again. Naturally, this made me want to play Playdead's previous release, Limbo, a game they released 6 years before Inside. This tells you that this studio likes to take its time in creating memorable experiences. Who knows when their third game, appropriately codenamed Game 3, is going to be released. But I am sure it will be one of a kind of an experience, as Playdead always manages to achieve. In this video, I want to take a closer look at Limbo, and take a moment to appreciate its sound and atmosphere closer. It is always a game I find myself keep coming back to replay certain sections that I hold dear in my heart. There exists a good variety of sound from multiple areas in Limbo, such as forests, cities, and factories, each harboring sounds matching their respective atmospheres. Crickets chirping in the forest, the sound of frogs in the swamp, rain falling down on glass in the city, the sounds of gears grinding and turning, water droplets from pipes. Something I also enjoy are the little sounds and the interactions of the player, such as the pushing and pulling of various objects, pulling levers, switching on the gravity, turning on magnets, or even the simple act of just moving around has a lot of thought put into it. The game's composer, Martin Stig Anderson, elaborated once in an interview how the footsteps work. When the player starts moving initially, the footsteps are loud, but after a while, the sound attenuates as not to become distracting to the player. But once the player steps on a different material, the sound becomes louder again to emphasize the change in the ground, only to attenuate again and the cycle continues. Even in the environments, there are a lot of sounds that add a lot to reinforce the atmosphere. Buzzing light sounds in the factory, water rushing when pulling the levers which move the contraptions. Another cool thing is how sound is added to approaching dangers, or before it even comes to screen. Examples of this are the spider where it follows the player in multiple instances. A foreboding sound plays, signaling the danger. When the burning tire is pushed towards the player before it even comes into view. Or when the player encounters a slug-controlled body in the boy's fortress for the first time. Let's see some examples of how all the elements coming together in this scene, of the boy using the trap to catch the decomposing body as he is climbing the rope, followed by the ambience of the forest. This other sequence, which I really enjoy the sound in, combine a lot of sound effects either from the environments, such as the sound of water from the drain, to the sounds from interactable objects such as the movable metal platform, the floating ball, and ladder. And the thing I enjoyed most is the music in the background, which almost sounds like a water turbine from its oscillatory nature, and it is a sound I deeply enjoy listening to. This particular sound gets reused a lot in the game's soundtrack, namely Menu, City, Sister, Gravity Jump, and a variation of it in Rotating Room. Since we find ourselves in the topic of discussing the game's soundtrack, I want to use the opportunity to gush about just how good it sounds. Every track from Martin Stig Anderson was handcrafted to fit this dark and ominous world that playdead made. For me personally, the main defining characteristic of the soundtrack is this oscillating sound that sounds like a plane or a submarine turbine for me. The first time I heard it, I was seriously mesmerized that I spent the next week obsessively listening to it on repeat. To this day, Gravity Jump is one of the soundtracks I re-listen to the most. What also sets this particular track for me are the drums that constantly speed up to a certain point only to reset and loops again. What I love in particular about this specific track too is just how well designed it is for the last gameplay section of the game. The sound of the drums is synchronized with the shifting gravity, which serves as an auditory cue for the player to be able to use this information in his favor. This gravity mechanic, which was at first only a sound, now serves as a component of the music in the track. Last but not least, the oscillatory sounds of the saw, only when the saws are visible in the game's screen. Since I am so in love with the bass oscillatory sound, you have no idea how much it meant to me seeing another layer get added that is related to the gameplay no less, which makes this feature of the track even more lovely to me. I always loved this sort of audio gameplay integration of mechanics, but to also combine it with music too is really creative. Rarely do ever games do this, but it really enhances the audio-visual experience when it is executed well. I love sound design in video games. I think I made this painfully obvious in some of my previous videos on the channel. It is an aspect that I really pay attention to, and it is something that I believe deserves more attention than it already has. Now that we have reached the end of the video, I want to express my utmost gratitude for Martin Stig Anderson's work on the sound and music design for Limbo. His work on the audio alone, which aligned with the director's vision, helped in making this game a one-of-a-kind experience that people will relish for years to come. Every now and then I will replay the game just to remind myself how well audio could be used in making a truly unique and memorable video game experience. Once again, thanks for watching, take care, and goodbye.